we've talked a little bit about the Missouri sports betting, how it's one of the few states, that doesn't allow sports betting, whether it's at the casino or online or through an app on your phone. It's supposed to hit the ballot. Well, there's now a lawsuit that is attempting to disqualify it from even making it to the November general election ballot.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the problem. So the lawsuit says the office, Ashcroft's office, right, used the new map to determine where the signatures were granted, and they should have used the newer map, and apparently Ashcroft used the old map from 2020. So insufficient numbers in the 1st and 5th congressional districts were a result. The suit argues with the change that only 4 of the 8 counties received the proper number of signatures. So if that is true and they win this lawsuit, that will be a massive win against sports betting, but it'll be a massive slap in the face to Jay Ashcroft, who ran and certified this result, apparently.
Sure. So it's been filed in Cole County Circuit Court by political consultants Jacqueline Wood and Blake Lawrence. Now, the initiative that was started to allow sports betting needed signature from 8% of legal voters in 6 of Missouri's 8 congressional districts. So of those 170,000 signatures required, that would be 8% of registered voters. The campaign behind this initiative, which this is interesting, they're named Winning for Missouri Education.
Don't you like it when they come up with, this is all about sports betting, but they call themselves Winning for Missouri Education.
But I'll tell you why here in a minute.
Okay.
But they turned in approximately 370,000 signatures before the May 5th deadline, which would have put them closer to like 20% over that 8%. Now, the lawsuit, as you alluded to, claims that Ashcroft used figures from the 2020 gubernatorial election to determine how many signatures the initiative needed. However, the congressional map was redrawn following the 2020 election, which would make it not enough signatures, or would not give them enough signatures in 4 of the 8 districts. And so this is what this lawsuit is saying. How convenient for the Secretary of State that you use this old congressional map that was used in 2020 to say, yes, we've gathered enough signatures, this can go on the ballot.
Yeah.
Well, these consultants, Jacqueline Wood and Blake Lawrence, have filed this lawsuit in Cole County Court, and the hearing date has actually been set for September 5th in Cole County. Of course, St. Louis Cardinals president, Bill DeWitt, who's been very behind the Winning for Missouri Education. Now, this would appear on your ballot in November as a yes or no vote, and it's very clear that there will be a 10% tax on any funds generated appropriated to educational institutions in the state of Missouri. So that's how they can get away with calling it, Winning for Missouri Education. And the St. Louis Cardinals president said about the lawsuit, this effort to decertify our ballot initiative is completely without merit. And FanDuel and DraftKings, they've given big money to this, right?
Big money. So FanDuel and DraftKings have contributed more than $10 million to this Winning for Missouri Education. The first $6.5 million from the pair of sportsbook helped get all those signatures, and then DraftKings added another $3.5 million just a couple of weeks ago. So they're pouring big money into this, which shows you who's going to be making the money here. Obviously apparently the Cardinals, the pro sports teams will make some money off this because they're all behind it. But FanDuel and DraftKings, man, they're pouring the money into this.
But I wonder how, obviously the engagement increases when people are betting on your team. But why would the team itself gain so much from sports betting?
Yeah.
Maybe you're... Oh, okay. So Andrew, our DOP, who knows a lot more than we do, and probably should be sitting.
He's a lot smarter than we are.
They get a licensing fee. So they kicked that, and that hearing for September 5th in Cole County, and this could actually come off the November 5th ballot should Wood and Lawrence win this suit against the Secretary of State's office and Secretary of State John Ashcroft, Jay Ashcroft. And that is wild. And it's actually a good thing when I looked at it. Like, a lot of these statewide things, like even that 13th casino getting on the ballot, it's like, hey, the lake could vote against it, but everywhere else in the state could vote for it, and they could speak, making it say, hey, there's 8 congressional districts. We're going to make there be at least 5 or 6 that they get a minimum amount of whatever signatures. That way, 2 or 3 huge districts aren't speaking for the whole state. So I thought that was good, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in that hearing.
You really will, and I've wondered that myself in the past. Remember when what do they call it? Fantasy football was first getting started. And it wasn't that long ago. It was 15, 20 years ago. Fantasy football kind of came out of nowhere, and I always wondered why NFL owners and the NFL and everybody was so strongly behind fantasy football. What were they getting out of it? I couldn't figure that right. But Andrew's absolutely right. They get licensing fees, and the more people do that stuff, the more fans they get. The more fans that are on board, that love and tune into the NFL even more. So it works for them in several different ways, but a lot of money.